The reason is because women were never built to choose men. Women were never made to choose men, and I think how I came to that conclusion is because for millennia, a woman's family or her dad always chose the man. And the reason why that was is because men know when other men are like women fall in love with guys, they want to think the best of a man, and so it's really easy for the man to pull wool over a woman's eyes. But your father's different. He don't give a about that man. He don't give a about that man. And so he's going to ask a lot of real hard questions in the beginning. And I think that's why things were easier in the past. Now, I'm not saying it was the end all be all, but I just think that that's why women have such a hard time today is because at the beginning, women weren't really built to actually choose men. Your father or your family was. And that's the reason why, like I said, why like men aren't able to bullshit your dad because your dad's gonna ask the questions, and if he don't want to answer them, your dad's gonna be like, "All right, we'll get out of here, bro." But with women, a lot of time, if he don't want to answer the question, she's like, "Okay, well, maybe it's just too soon. Let me let me go ahead and like soften it up a little bit, and maybe we'll get to it." And then you end up wasting a lot of time. But you know, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Um, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I mean, it makes sense to me in a particular sense because men are the pursuers. Now, we still have to say yes, after the man chooses or courts or presents, like you'll see in the animal kingdom, you'll see birds, they'll get their feathers going, they'll dance, they'll make noise and do all of this, and then the girl bird is like yes or no. So, I mean, yeah, there is a level of pursuit that I don't know if I'm seeing at the level that even I've seen in my time. Like I've seen it before. It seems to be a little bit more watered down. And yeah, some of the things I work with women, teach women, and have to teach myself is how to maneuver a little bit differently in this 2023 world, which does require us to not only have intuition, but to follow it, to exercise our discernment. So those are two action work, the action of not only having the intuition, but following it, the exercising the discernment, because we're capable, but it does, the way we've been trained, I think, is a little more lackadaisical than what is really required to not get caught up in this day and age. And yeah, a lot of us end up wasting a lot of time with the wrong people, not having a good vetting system, not having that barrier of men to vet, and challenge these guys. There's a lot of that going on. And what's that less, with the no rites of passage, it's kind of, no rites of passage, no men vetting, no, so everything's getting a little flimsy,
What is
in my
rites of
opinion.
passage? What is that? What do you mean by that?
Like when kids are younger and then, the dad takes the teenager out into the woods and everybody comes back
Mm,
changed.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Like, I'm not supposed to know what y'all do out there, but that man up moment where it's
Yeah.
like, these are the things, with stuff like that missing along with what you said. The family's not being so involved in choosing partners and that type of thing. I think things have gotten a little flimsy.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
challenging.
So I feel like one of the major reasons that women are having a hard time finding men is, well, kind of like you guys are saying, like, I don't feel like women are supposed to be finding men. Men are supposed to be finding and courting the woman, and then the woman says yes or no. But also now things have changed so much in like why we marry. We are not in this day and age, we are not marrying for financial stability because we can do that on our own at this point. Um, and we are marrying for love, and so we are not just looking for a man who is capable of providing and protecting. We're looking for a man who is emotionally competent, who is going to connect with us on a deeper level. And so now the standards have changed. You know, the the kind of man that we consider a good man has changed at this point. We still want a man who is financially stable. We still want a man who's able to protect and provide, but now it is mandatory for a man to be emotionally intelligent before we feel safe marrying him. And that didn't used to be the case.
And
Great point. You're right.
I think that's
Mhm.
why I say, like, the past was a good foundation, but maybe it wasn't like the perfect model, right? Whereas nowadays, a woman, she gets to go out and kind of choose her mate, right? Get to choose the guy that she likes, right? And that will be the whole like emotional part and the loving part. Well, I guess love is an emotion, so that's the whole love part, right? But then the vetting was actually done, like I said, like by your dad. And then he would be the unemotional side, right? He would be the side that would be like, all right, bro, my daughter likes you. Why should I give a fuck, right? Like, why should I care about you? Why should I tell her that you're the guy? And then he would have to explain, like, oh, sir, I'm the guy because I got the financial part. I got all the other stuff that men and women don't necessarily talk about when it comes to like the love and emotional part of having a relationship, right? It's like, all right, bro, well, what is your credit score? I mean, what job do you do? How long you been on that job? Like, let me press you real quick and, see if you actually, have good intentions for my daughter. What's your plan for my daughter, right? That'd be the first thing your dad's going to ask. What do you want with my daughter, bro? What is your plan for her? Right? And if he ain't had his plan, your dad is like, oh, this dude, he ain't it. Like he playing games. And so I think like for me, when I came up with that hypothesis, I was like, yeah, like this is the reason why women should probably have a man that they trust in their vetting system. Because a lot of times, men come in and we are not only are we aggressive, but we also are adversarial, right? So we're going to come at another man from an adversarial position. We're going to make sure that what he says actually makes sense. To where when you're in that real loving phase, like, oh my God, I'm crushing on this person. You're not really trying to be adversarial. You getting caught up in the emotion of the whole thing and the romance of the whole thing that you women normally don't go to the part to where they actually need to have that logical mind that says, okay, well, let me press this dude and make sure. Because I hear women say all the time, like, oh, I don't want to talk about that stuff on the first date. And I'm like, when
Mhm.
you gonna talk about this
Yeah.
stuff?
I don't think you should
Yeah.
talk about it on the first date. I don't think you should.
You don't think
No, I think that on the first date, you should be trying to get to know this person, not on like on the first date. I'm not looking for marriage on the first date. I want to know if this is somebody that I can even connect with. Now, when I start taking this person a little bit more seriously, I'm gonna start asking some questions before I make a commitment to this person. When we're just dating, we're just dating. We're just enjoying each other's company. I'm not going to a first date talking about marriage because let's be honest, most men are not wanting to talk about marriage on a first date. They're not wanting to feel like they're on an interview. They want to know if you are interested in them as a person. If I'm not interested in you as a person, we won't make it to another date.
see, I
Yeah, I'm
think
a little different.
yeah.
I'm not going on a date if we haven't warmed up. I'm not going out. I'm not spending my time. I'm not getting dressed. So there, for me, there has to be a little bit of foundation if I'm going to sit down and eat with you. And primarily in that, I tell guys too, especially when we're talking, like, I want to know what their plans are, what their desires are, what is the frame, what is the outlook, what is their purpose in dating in general. And I make jokes and I laugh about it, but it's like, just because I want to be a wife, it doesn't mean that you're my husband. So it keeps it light. It
Right.
keeps it
Yeah.
fun. It doesn't mean that just because we're out, I ain't looking, because I know how to keep it light and fun. Because you're right. Let's be real. On the first
Right.
date, we just want to get to know each other. But I do like to know the premise of a man's mind and what he's dating for, what
Yeah.
he's about. So there's a level of marinating I need to do before I even step out of the door and accept
I
a
see.
face to face sit down.
I see.
See, but I think that's where women. I think that's where women make a mistake.
Well,
Like,
how so? Or
well,
where?
not you, Jamie, not necessarily you, but I'm saying like you need to ask the hard questions right off the rip. Because at the end of the day, if you guys are different politically, if you guys are different religiously, if you guys are different financially, if you guys are different in the actual things that really matter, then it don't matter if he got a good personality or not. The only thing
Mm-mm.
learning about his personality and if you guys vibe, the only thing that's going to do in the beginning is get you to put your guard down because now you're going to be like, oh, well, he's got a great personality. We get along. I think he's
You start
cute.
compromising.
Yeah, you're going to start
Yeah,
compromising. I think if you come out of the gate, like, bro, I don't, do you want to get married? What is your intent? What is your plan for me? Like, if you come out of the gate with that, yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of dudes you don't talk to. But guess what? That's good for you because then you
it
get to
is.
cycle through the dudes who ain't really serious. Because men who are serious are going to go, well, yeah, I got a plan for you. I want to
You
be
don't
married.
know me. How do you have a plan for me? You don't
Because
know
because
me.
because okay, and here's how. I'm glad you asked that because I have a plan for me. And if you're for me, the plan that I lay out for me looks the same as the plan you have for us. Meaning we're looking in the same direction. So if I have my plan and I say, here's my plan, here's what it looks like, and I want you to join me on this, then now okay, do I want to rock with that man's plan or do I not?
And see, I like that because I don't feel, and this is where I have to have a little bit of trust but a little bit of discernment. That's the kind of thing I like to and need to hear, because then that makes me feel like you're over here for something.
Hmm.
I'm a particular type of woman. I am a particular, like, so you knowing what you're looking for and what you could potentially, we're still talking potentially,
Hmm.
see alongside you. I don't even see why a man would be over here if he's not I need to have somebody who's thinking along those lines, because then there's potential there. Now we can talk about, food and dates and fun and laugh and giggle, but I just kind of need to know what your foundation, what is your baseline? Because I just, otherwise, I really don't even know why I would be engaging in a conversation. My time is too precious. I'm not that interested
I
in, getting to know.
Yeah.
That was maybe when I was younger, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'd be more curious to find out, what is his plan for himself and his life. But I am not interested in him already having some kind of preconceived plan about the woman that he's going to bring into his life. Because I'm not some kind of movable piece of furniture. I'm a human being. And, we will develop the plan for us together. I don't want somebody coming to me and saying, "Hey, I want to know if you fit into my plan that I already have before I ever met you." Like I feel that we should be building a life together. I think that a lot of people fall short in dating because they do have preconceived notions of honestly a person who doesn't exist. They have this checklist, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a checklist. Um, you should, but I think that people create this, I don't know, like this ideal partner in their head and then this ideal life and relationship, and that's just not how relationships work. Like you're meeting an entire person who, um if if you kind of have a plan for where you want to go personally and they kind of have a plan of where they want to go personally, you find out if those plans are compatible. But you don't really just, it's not one person coming into another person's plan. It's a plan that you build together on the commonalities.
Right. But I think when I say like here's my plan, I don't think that necessarily means, well, I'm doing this only and I don't care about you. Like it doesn't present that way for everybody, right?
Hmm.
Now, some women, like Jamie, if the man who she's looking for will present his plan, and his plan will be like, well, hey, sweetie, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'd love for you to join me on this, but hey, this is what I'm doing, and hopefully,
Hmm.
what I want and what you want are aligned, right? But then maybe
Right.
the man for you says, well, look, I have a plan, but it's not completely done. I actually need you to help me finish it, right? To where it makes you feel more inclusive in this plan, right?
Well,
Me,
I'm not exactly looking for that, right? Your plan is your plan for your life. My plan is
right.
my plan for my life. And I feel that we are kind of we're living life side by side as a companionship. You don't need me to come in and finish your plan aside from companionship. And if you want to have a family, you don't need me to come in and tell you how to execute a plan that you already have. And honestly, vice versa. I want a friend along the journey.
Right.
That's
And
what I look for in a life partner.
what
I
I
mean, I
think,
kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of in between, but I feel like I get what you're saying, KB, because, me as a woman, I like a man with a plan. And I actually intentionally stay flexible because I do want to, I'm cool with, I move like water. I want him to, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I need that. And I do know what my skills are. And I have a, particular set of skills based on my life experiences. And I am looking forward to complementing him on what he's got and potentially vice versa, because I know my flavor, my style. I know what I can do as an added compliment to someone. But I also need a certain level of grounding because I'm very, I can be very airy and pie in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I need that anchor. But so I see the
Mm-hmm.
compliment, us being able to complement each other and potentially finish each other's plans by being in each other's life. I don't want it. I don't want to feel like I got my life, you have my life, and we can walk alongside. Cool. It's like, no, I'm a puzzle piece with a little piece miss. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, make
You
it a
want to
one.
complete someone.
Yeah, I
You don't want
want
a
us to
complete
complete.
person.
Yeah, I want us to complete each other. To me, that we're the one, but to do this complete, it makes a complete different one. So there needs to be room for that. And so I feel like I've always been aware of and okay with that room and that flexibility and being able to move like water around what's going on, especially if I find a man that's got that plan and he can articulate it to me and it makes sense.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and I kind of feel like I said, I think we may be on a semantical difference, um, as far as just kind of how it's presented to the person. But at the end of the day, um, a man should be honest about his intentions for what he wants to do with a woman, and a man should be honest about how he moves and lives his life, so that if you're complimentary to that or not. So
Mm-hmm.
when I say he sets his plan out for you, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's telling you, oh, you got to do this or you got to do that, or here's my expectation of
Mm-hmm.
what I have for a wife. It just means here's how I move, here's how I live my life, here's what I would
Mm-hmm.
like to do in the future. And does that compliment you? Right? Does
Right.
what I'm
Yeah.
Right.
doing compliment you? If it does,
Yeah.
cool. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's keep moving forward. If it doesn't, well then we don't have anything else really to talk about. I don't really need to know your favorite color or your birthday or none of that other shit that makes you feel good, right?
And I like that too because there's a logical sense to it. Like sometimes I think we should bring in the black and white, logical, like on paper look of things because, I always shared that like love is a choice. It's to me, it's not a feeling. Like feelings are
Right.
fleeting. I could be aggravated 10 minutes ago and then
Mm-hmm.
way joyful and it don't even look right,
Yep.
but love is a choice. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where this black and white, I choose you type of thing. And then all of the colors in between from the emotions, the arguments, the figuring out, the hard periods, the great period,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that is all
Mm-hmm.
around the choice that we made, the black and white, the clear, the decision to love one another. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes a little bit of the
Yeah.
fruit out of it almost, but
Yeah.
it gives it an anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
just
gives it
like I said,
stability.
Hmm?
It gives it
yeah.
stability. It gives
Mm-hmm.
it a
I
real
just I just
foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I just my only thing is um I think women get too comfortable before they really talk about the things that matter, and it ends up compromising their resolve and their boundaries on the things that really matter to them. And I feel like the sooner you can talk about what really matters to you, the faster you can get to understand if this person is for you or not. Because so many women nowadays spend so much time with the wrong, and it's because they never felt comfortable enough to talk to that man about what actually mattered until they had already had sex and been involved with
Mhm.
this man and really got an emotional attachment to that man. And that's why, I tell my sisters, I tell women that ask me for advice, try to get to that man and his intentions as soon as possible, because all you're doing after that is opening yourself up to fall in love and compromise everything that you actually really want in a relationship.
Yeah, but see, that compromise right there is a choice too. And that's another
Mhm.
thing:
Mhm.
scarcity mindset, lack, a certain
Mhm.
level of laziness. Because you can also ask a man this, that, and the other. And this is why I take it back to the discernment and the intuition, because you need to hear and see what's really going on. And we
Yeah.
always get it like this. We get it like this every time. But then we
Mhm.
choose, and then we decide, and then we start to think, well, he's 80% what I want, or he seems to want this and that. When most of the time, a man can say, I'm a good man, I'm doing this, da, 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 but then he can do, and you'll see things, stuff will start to come up in intuition, and the math don't math. That's when
Yep.
we're supposed to move.
Yep.
Whether we ask him on the first date if he wants marriage or not, there's always something in the senses and the ethers that makes it plain
Yep.
for us before we get too deep. So getting too deep with somebody who's not this, not that, is a faulty choice of us women. And we've
Yeah.
got to learn not to do that, because we're choosing
Mhm.
and from our wounds as well when we're doing that.
Right, right. And that's the result, like you said, it's the result of not listening to the intuition. It's there. We have discernment. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
And KB, you were saying earlier that you kind of feel like that women should have basically a male family member or something to co-sign. And I don't find that necessary. And the reason I say that is because the problem is not that women are not capable of discerning whether or not a man has good intentions for her. It's that women have been making this choice that they are going to ignore the intuition that they know, is there. They're ignoring that intuition. The intuition will tell them if this is the right man for them. The intuition will tell them if this man means well for them, if he is a man who has a plan, who has ambition, who is a leader. The intuition will tell us all of that, but we have been choosing for so long not to listen to it.
To
And
settle.
yeah, to settle, for sure, to settle. There's so much propaganda about, oh, you get to this age and you're still single, you're gonna die alone if you don't have children, and so then we can get to a point where we decide to settle. Oh, well, maybe my standards are too high. Honey, your intuition is the standard.
It's the
So,
standard every
yeah,
time,
yeah.
every time.
So
Yeah,
So
I
over
but that
anything,
like,
we need to learn how to move, not just have it, but to move when we get
yes,
it.
yeah, yeah,
And that takes a certain level of boldness, courage, self-love, mastery,
yes,
trust, accountability.
yeah,
It's
okay,
yeah.
work. So that's why I said you could be lazy, have a scarcity mentality. If you're not on that stuff, then you're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
right. But
But it's
the reason I said, women shouldn't, choose men is because you guys haven't developed that skill over millennia, right? That skill was never used for millions of years. And so to think that women are going to flip a switch after millions of years of practicing one thing and then flip after 50, 60 years be able to master that skill to flip that switch isn't something that happens that quickly. So while like I said, I understand, yes, I think if you can flip that switch, yes, then do it. But I
I
don't
don't
think
think it's
that
that hard to do. It's already there. It's
I think
already
it
it
there.
has to
takes
be that hard.
I think it
It
takes
has to be that
coaching.
hard.
It does, because I obviously, being a life coach, I'm a
Women
transformative
would
life
not.
coach. We're not doing it.
Lots
We're
of women
not.
are doing it, but there are women who are wounded, who have been taught not to listen to their intuition,
Mm-hmm.
that are, they're not trusting themselves, but it's not like the world has been void of women's intuition all this time. A lot of things have come to us only through women's intuition. So we're not going to act like women are like somehow so far behind, and also that men are more equipped to determine who's a good man and who's not. Because from what I've been seeing, there are so many men who are describing what they think a good man is, and it's not. So there's a lot of women who are capable of choosing good partners for them and not really being sucked into the whole like lovey-dovey, I like being around him thing. And there are a lot of men who kind of go a little to the extreme on what they think it looks like, to have a man with a plan. So I think that it we don't need we don't need a cosign. We don't need for someone to tell us it's okay for us to date someone. I promise you, I'm not going to trust my father's opinion of a man I should date over my own intuition. I'm and in so many cases, the family don't even like who you end up with, but they're the right person for you. I'm just I have to marry this person. I have to spend my life with this person. I don't need an okay from my father or my brother or my cousin or my uncle. I don't need that. And I don't think that there are a lot of, in the same way that we are not finding good quality men, a lot of these men did not have, healthy upbringing. Who's responsible for teaching them to be a man? Why are we listening to the previous generations of men when they are responsible for how this generation of men turned out? I'm not going to look to a man to tell me who I should partner with.
And see, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the
Okay.
cosign. I'm okay with bringing somebody in and actually, I told you, KB, I was like, don't play. You gonna get that call. I'm gonna be like, yo, I want you to, because I do want, especially early on. Yeah, I want you to know there's men out here that don't play about me. Um, you need to know that I have a community. I have people who have my back. I'm around good men. It adds to my character, shows that, men are willing to stand in the gap for me, the type of men that I put myself around. Because if me and this person do go the distance, like, I have guy friends. I want you to be cool with my father and all these things. So I think for me, it will add a layer that I'm not mad at, because what y'all do, I'm not going to be in men's business, just like men can't be in a certain level of women's business. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell you right now, I've had men do that with me. I will tell my homeboys in an instant, like, bruh, no, okay, like, because we know, we be knowing, we girls know girls, like, so I'm gonna trust it. It won't, maybe it's not the end all be all. Maybe it's not like,
Right.
well, I can't do it unless KB said, but to have that
Right.
alongside a little side dish, a little flavor, I'm with it. I'll take all
Yeah.
the
And
help I
see,
can get in 2023.
yeah, see, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying though. What I was saying
Yeah.
is that, like you just said, it's not the end all be all. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was saying. It's not that I don't want input at all from
Mm-hmm.
the men who care about me, who
Mm-hmm.
want what's best for me. But it's not for me like the way it once was, where you can't marry a woman unless her father says yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I I don't feel like that's mandatory. It's it's okay with me if there happens to be a male family member or a close male friend who says, "I don't know about this one." You know, it's okay if I feel differently. If I have a different perspective and I see it differently. Um, so yeah, like you said, like it really is good to have that input, because like KB was saying earlier, like men know men. Men understand men. They can a lot of times see the bullshit pretty quickly, even when we don't quite see it because we don't 100% know how men think.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, no,
Okay.
it's great to have that. It's just, I was just saying, I don't think it's like you said, it's not the end all be all.